Okay, so something huge just went down in American politics. On November 4th, 2025, New York City didn't just have an election, it had what you might call a political earthquake. This wasn't just about picking a new mayor, it was about choosing a whole new future for the city. So let's dive in and unpack what just happened.
And here it is, the big headline. Zohran Mamdani, a progressive Democrat, has won the race for mayor. And let me tell you, this was not just a win. We're talking about a stunning upset that sent absolute shockwaves through the city's political establishment and way beyond.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, to really get it, you've got to know who is in the running. Let's meet the main players in this political drama.
If you were a voter in New York, you basically had three totally different doors to choose from. On one side, you had Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat, who was all about radical change and making the city more affordable. Then in the middle, you had former Governor Andrew Cuomo, running as an independent, basically selling experience and law and order. And on the other side, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, doubling down on a classic tough-on-crime message.
See, this election wasn't just about picking a name off a ballot. No way. This was about the very soul of New York City. The city was standing at a massive crossroads, really, deciding which way to turn for its future.
It really boils down to two completely different blueprints for the city. Mamdani's agenda was a direct shot at younger, more diverse voters. He was promising sweeping, radical change on things like housing and the insane cost of living. On the flip side, Cuomo's pitch was basically, hey, let's not rock the boat. He was all about stability and his past experience, a message aimed right at the city's old guard and establishment.
And you know, this quote from PBS just nails it. They said the race was a battle of generations, ideologies, and the future direction of the city. It really came down to one simple question for New Yorkers. Did they want a revolution, or did they want to go back to business as usual?
All right, so the progressive vision won. But the big question is, how? What was the secret sauce? Well, the answer comes down to one of the most basic, but also most powerful forces in politics. Who actually shows up to vote?
So what was the engine that drove this thing home? What really happened when the polls opened?
The answer is this number. Just look at it. Over 2 million, that's how many people cast a ballot. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 2 million, that's a lot. But trust me, when you see the historical context, it is absolutely staggering.
Get this, that's the highest voter turnout in a New York City mayoral election since 1969. We're talking more than half a century. This wasn't just a few more people showing up, it was a tidal wave. A turnout tsunami, really, fueled by a massive surge of young and first-time voters who were just fired up for change.
Now, when you have a political earthquake this big in a city like New York, the tremors don't just stop at the city limits. Oh no, this thing is already making waves nationally and even globally.
So why was the whole world watching this one local election? Well, a few big reasons. For starters, you've got Wall Street, which was watching very closely, pretty nervous about what a progressive mayor would mean for business. This was also seen as a huge test for the Democratic Party itself, a real battle between the rising progressive wing and the old-school centrist core. And then, of course, you had big national players like Donald Trump jumping in, endorsing Cuomo, and turning the whole thing into a national proxy fight.
You know, there's a term for this. Political analysts call it a barometer election. Think of it like a weather forecast for politics. Its results give you a pretty good idea of which way the winds are blowing for the rest of the country. And that's the key takeaway here, right? What just happened in New York City could be a sneak peek of what's coming everywhere else.
Okay, so the election's over. The confetti has settled. But here's the thing. Winning is the easy part. Governing, that's a whole different ballgame. So now, the question isn't who won, but what happens now? And man, there are some big questions on the table.
First up, the big one. Can he actually get it done? I mean, Mamdani ran on this incredibly ambitious agenda with huge ideas for housing and policing, but turning those campaign promises into actual laws means getting them through the city council. And that's never a slam dunk.
And then there's the money. You can't forget about Wall Street. How is the city's powerful business community going to react to all this? Let's be real. Things like new taxes and more regulation, that kind of talk tends to make the financial world pretty antsy. So watching how the new mayor deals with the city's economic engine is going to be absolutely fascinating.
But maybe the most important question of all goes back to the people who made this victory happen. That incredible wave of young voters, was that a one-off? A flash in the pan because of this one candidate? Or are we seeing the start of a whole new era of political engagement? Because honestly, the answer to that could reshape New York politics for a generation.
And all of this leads us to the final massive question, the one that political strategists all over the country are probably asking themselves right now. By mobilizing this young, diverse coalition with a message of radical change, did Zohran Mamdani's campaign just write a brand new playbook for how to win in America's biggest cities? That, right there, is the million-dollar question.